Well, good evening, truck and tractor pool fans. We had a very interesting evening here. Uh, our normal program we used to use, Google Hangouts, did a major league shift on us, and it is no longer available. So, in the last hour and a half, I have basically had to go to a different stream server to get through to YouTube and start from scratch. So, we run a couple of quick tests, and everything seems to be okay. But Kendra was on here. She's getting ready. She's relogging back in. She had some problems, but we'll make it all work. I know this particular program works pretty good for a couple other shows that I watch. You guys that have YouTube channels, so it's just something It's going to take me a week or two to get used to and come up with some different designs for the screen and stuff. But the important thing is we're here tonight. We're a few minutes late. We apologize for that. Like I said, we're working without a net here, something we're really not used to program wise. But we do have Bryan Lively. And anybody has anything to do with tractor pulling, Pro Pulling Magazine, the Hook Magazine, Tunica Tractor Pull, the St Jude Raffle Tractor. Here comes Kendra in now. Hi, Kendra. How are you?
I'm back. I'm
Like I said,
good.
that's good. We're just working without a net tonight. But anyway, Brian's going to be joining us here shortly, and he's got a lot of information he wants to go over regarding the Tunica event, the raffle tractor, and the history of it all. And this past Saturday, I got one more tractor pull in at the Delmarva event, antique tractor pull at Easton, Maryland. 127 hooks. They were full bore from 3,500 or 3,000 pounds all the way up to I think it was 14.5. Uh, Not all the classes in between, but a lot of them. And once again, a fantastic hook, fantastic event. Uh, I I apologize. I don't have time to go over all the names tonight, but I have intentions of that for next Wednesday. We're going to really cover the event as good as we can. Like I said, this threw me a major league curveball. I don't know, it was about 5 o'clock or so, maybe
Yeah, I think
quarter
that's
after
about right.
five, something like
Mhm.
that. And I'm like, oh boy, we're in trouble tonight. But instead of, I already looked into this StreamYard deal. Like I say, I know a couple other people that use it, and it's uh, it's pretty decent. I really like it. I'm just gonna stay with it, obviously, because Google Hangouts doesn't exist. It does, but not for video chat. So, but now Brian will be joining us here shortly. But anyway, getting back to the Delmarva event. Um, you guys, I will say, hopefully some of you are watching or will be watching. Some of you have messaged me regarding DVDs from the October and the November events. I did finish the October event today. All that editing is done. I hope to start Friday uh, on the event this past Saturday. So I will start listing the October DVDs here. I don't know if I'm going to do much tomorrow. I'd like to have a day off after today, but we'll see. I might do a little bit tomorrow morning. I'm kind of reworking my office here a little bit too, so I might work on that tomorrow. But I guess I tell you what, I will go over. They had a class, a 5,500, what they called a special 5 mile per hour, and you could not be 1 ounce over on weight. And I will read the top three. Rick McIntyre won the class with his 1948 Farm OM at 239 and 70. And second was Joe McIntyre with 1958 Farmall 460 at 237.79. And third was Nick Borga with his John Deere A at 224.16. And Nick Borga, I don't know if anybody recognizes that name, used to pull diesel trucks. Off
Hmm.
and on, used to see him a lot at the Buck and stuff. And it's got a pretty tough running little John Deere A thing, 2 cylinder. Pretty neat deal there. But goodness gracious, Brian, where you at? I told him, oh, don't be in no hurry.
And he's taking you very seriously.
That's okay. I told him to take his time because if I know Brian, he's going to come on here on point with anything he's asked. So uh, I'm sure he's rounding up some history or something. He's usually pretty thorough. Uh, the Hook magazine. I've actually been writing for the Hook magazine for a long time. Back when I know her first name was Dana Marlin. Dana Marlin used to do that magazine. and I'm saying early 2000s, I guess, is when I started doing some work for her. And of course, then along come Brian. He purchased the whole deal from her, and really has done an awesome job with that magazine. And also, Lucas Oil, I guess, contacted him, and he also does the Pro Pooler magazine as well, which I now write for and do stuff in photographs and stuff like that for. So, but
Good deal.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And the Hook magazine, I mean, we covered a lot of stuff in there, and I know some of the antique guys are like, "Hey, wait a minute, it's supposed to be an antique magazine," and they're looking at East Coast vehicles in there and stuff. So, then come the Pro Pooler magazine. So that it worked out pretty good. But
I remember buying the Hook magazine when we would go to Tractor Supply there in Hagerstown when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Hook, that's been around a long time.
Yeah. Speak of the devil. Good evening, Mr. Lively. How are you? We were just talking about you.
My ears started burning a little bit, so I figured I better log in.
Hey, I'm going to say something to you.
I'll go ahead.
Last time I seen you, you had hair on your head.
Yeah, that's been a long time ago.
It has been a while. You're right. You're absolutely right. It has been a while.
This is low maintenance, though, man. This is, you just pop out of bed and you just go on. So
you should have been in my shoes a couple hours ago.
Okay.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. Okay. We have basically rebuilt here from scratch. I'm working on a program I've never used before, and so far so good. I like it. So
good.
Yeah, but
well, I've had my computer screen open on YouTube. I'm like, well, I'll come in sometime, and then I was like, well, I better log in. I'm still not seeing anything, but that's okay. I'm seeing you all, but that's good.
Yeah, you say you're not seeing anything on YouTube?
No, my screen is I've just got the Eastern Extreme banner is all I'm seeing, but I may need to refresh it. I don't know.
Yeah, because according to what I'm seeing, it's running. So
okay.
Say on my YouTube, it looks good.
Yeah.
So.
So, yeah, that's hard to say.
Oh, there it is.
There we go.
See now.
Anyway, I was going over. I didn't have time. Wanted to go over my Delmarva event stuff a little more. We had 127 hooks Saturday.
Not too shabby.
Oh, it's awesome. Great people down there too, man. Everybody's
good folks.
Yes, they are. And I don't know how much you've dealt with them, maybe over the internet or whatever, but yeah, they're good people. And I've enjoyed working with them last couple of weeks down there. Last two events anyway.
Well, there's some of those folks come to our Harrisburg for their pull, and they come to Tunica, and run to a lot of those folks through the year. Good people. There's good people across the sport, no matter where you go. So.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of buzz about Tunica in October and this past Saturday. So several of them are coming. So
I think it's going to be better. I think my feeling is much better than it was a week ago. I've been watching the New York Times map, and there is a real low positivity rate in that county. It's I think there's 2.5 people per day that have tested positive. It's a county of only 10,000 people, so that it's a quarter of what it is in my home county, and I'm very rural where I'm at.
Right.
So I feel confident, comfortable to go. Just got to be careful, be safe. If you don't feel comfortable, take the appropriate precautions, and everybody needs to have fun.
Yeah, we've been preaching that all summer here. Bring your family out. I mean, of course, we're outdoors.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a lot more scary in the beginning, and just use common sense. If you can't social distance, wear a mask. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make you a wimp or a bad person to wear one. Just wear it.
Well, I think the mask runs both ways. I believe everybody has a right to not wear one, but I also feel like if you want to wear one, you shouldn't feel ashamed or feel bad about it. And actually, what I found is that it gives you distance. If you're in a place where you wear a mask, people will give you that 6 foot automatically.
They get a little worried about you.
They're like, oh, they got it.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny where I've been all over the Midwest this year. Things opened up about mid-June, and it was wide open for 10 weeks till 12 weeks on the road. I've seen crowds 7,000, 8,000 people at a pull.
Yeah.
One or two masks. Went to Iowa, didn't see hardly a mask over there. And, and of course, that was when the positivity rates were very low over there anyway. Missouri was wide open when I was over there. But things have kind of crept backward now with our rates going up. And we I feel like we have to be careful, especially now since everybody's going indoors, and which is kind of the wrong thing to do. But that's another hour that you all don't have to talk about. So.
Well, and I'll just touch on it real quick. It's really getting bad here in Maryland. I hate talking politics, but the point that our governor is sending police force to the big cities here, local big towns, Baltimore City and wherever else around the bigger areas where social gathering and nightclubs and stuff happens, and they're not playing games. I mean, they're enforce it. So, well, it is right. It is on the rise here. So.
Yeah, and I think it's a state by state, or city by city issue. I don't feel like it's again, I go down that slippery slope of politics, but I think it's every state and every city are different, and they have to be handled accordingly. Elizabethtown, Kentucky is different from Louisville, Kentucky, and that's those are my frames of reference, and you just got to be careful. So.
Absolutely. So, Bryan, give us a little. Let's just talk about you real quick. I know you're anxious to get into the Tunica and the St Jude deal and everything, and which we commend you highly for. Just real quick, it's kind of off the beaten path. Before we ask a little bit about Bryan Lively, how long have you actually been working with the Tunica event and the actual tractor giveaways?
Well, the Tunica pull has been going on. This is his 20th or 21st year. The actual St. Jude portion of it started about 8 years ago. It was due in large part to a gentleman named Keith Edens. Keith is one of the members of the promotion group, and they're called the Mean Green Pulling Team. Keith worked for UPS and was a delivery person for UPS, and would deliver to that St. Jude hospital. And it struck him deeply what was going on there, and saw that there was an opportunity to get this group of pullers just 40 miles south in Tunica, Mississippi, that gathered once a year in December to help out. We raised, I forget what the entire group raised the first year, $7,000 or $8,000 through a class plus some donations that were all the proceeds, the hook fees went to St. Jude, and all the pullers have all donated their money back every year.
Awesome.
All their winnings, plus some. The tractor came along a year or two after. A group of pullers called the Midwest Hellions kind of put that together, and I was on the kind of fringe of the Hellions, kind of media publicizing what was going on, keeping that flowing. And that first tractor was Oliver 88. I think it raised $10,000. We've had since then. It's kind of become its own. It's snowballed, and snowballed is maybe not the right word. And it's a business now. Right now, I'm spending 3 or 4 hours a day strictly on St. Jude stuff as part of my day. I start out in the morning, and from 9 to noon, I'm working on that every day. And just if you see my post on Facebook, my profile's public, Hook Magazine's public, all that, so people can see that and see those links to donate. But we've got a core crew now that helps do it. It's me, Pete Pesnick, Jeff Gravert, and Houston and Stacy Jackson, and we're kind of a collective group now. And in fact, we've formed a nonprofit this year to kind of contain this monster it's become, because we raised $150,000 last year.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's very good.
On two tractors, and we kind of blew it up as it was an M versus a G John Deere.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that really stirred the stink, so to speak, in a good way. But it has its roots in a group of friends that still get together at Tunica, and some guys contribute, some of them still don't. But it became work, but that's fine. I'm pulling is my business. That's Jerry, you know how that is. It's part of our landscape. If something becomes where we need to lend a hand, we lend a hand, and that's how I dove into it. So,
yeah, I always say I like today. I asked you, do you ever sleep?
Yeah, I'm sleeping better. We'll just put it that way.
Because I know it can get hectic, here, but
I'm getting.
I see you at posts any hour of the night or morning. I'm like, man, does he ever sleep?
Well, it's old man trouble. I'll sleep and then I'll wake up for no reason.
Yep.
And just like, well, I can't lay here. Get up and do something.
I know the feeling.
But that's just the nature of the beast here. I finally figured out how to go to bed early and get up early, but that'll soon end once we get pulling again. All that'll go out the window, and it'll be, these 1 a.m.s, and then try to get up at 5 or 6. That's not going to happen. You just do the best you can. So,
So I was just thinking back here. When did you really? I mean, pulling obviously with me, and I'm sure you started when you were much younger.
Yeah.
I mean, it started for me in 1975. My two uncles started taking me to back then what was called the Buck Tractor Pulls.
Yeah.
Which now Buck Motorsports Park now, but and every year of my life since, it's been crazy pulling time. I mean, there for a while, I didn't go all the time. Of course, that's back when you got your driver's license and street car, you got your first car and your hot rod and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, really, since 1994, I've been gangbusters on it, and I haven't stopped. So, but
my background is it's around 76. I was 3 years old. Remember going to a tractor pull. Remember going to Louisville in 77, sitting on the finish line and the nosebleeds and the fumes.
Yeah. Been there.
I vividly remember that. It's funny how you remember stuff, but some of those earliest memories that I have, of all the memories I have of my childhood, are there, or those pulling memories. I have other things, but those stick out with my line of work.
Right.
My business side of it started around 2003, working with the ATPA, and then once that kind of folded in and under, I went to work for Dana at the Hook magazine, and with the puller, Greg Randall and that group, and I kind of backed into all this in about 2010, doing the Hook magazine full time, and it was, it's been a good deal. I've been a part of some really rewarding things, and it's I keep the lights on, but there's some value. There's some value there that you can't put a price on.
That's right. I remember you. Well, of course, I've worked with Dana and you as well on the Hook, and I remember you probably really being with that magazine, really concentrated on full color photos from cover to cover, and man, when that came to fruition, that was awesome. I
think you've got to put out a good product. I've grown myself. I first had to become a photographer because I was always able to write. I've always been able to write, and then I had to pick up a camera and learn how to use that.
That's a good thing you can, because you correct me a lot, I'm sure.
Well, you do a fine job. You do a wonderful job. The equipment now is just outstanding that we have now versus what we had 10 years ago.
You bet. Big difference.
I've gone back through some photos, just trying to share some stuff here and there. They're just kind of downtime. And I'm looking at these old photos with these old cameras that we had, of like a Canon 40D. I don't know if you had a 40D or not, but I'm like, and that was a good camera back, 10 years ago.
Right back on the shelf. I got a 20D here still. A 20, a 40, and a 60.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah.
And what we've got today is just amazing that we can shoot in the light that we're presented with, and the quality of photos that it's near automatic, and we've got some fantastic people that are taking photos now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see. I'll pop open a file, and I'm just kind of like, wow.
Mhm.
And then you zoom in on it, and it's spotless.
Crystal clear.
I don't worry about it. Just set it in, set it in the layout and go on.
Yeah. Well, history of Tunica. Why don't you fill us in on? You kind of went over some stuff, but
yeah,
if I know you've got another chapter to tell us about. So,
well,
the floor is yours.
Well, the floor, Tunica, thankfully, is it kind of rounds out the year for antique pulling, and really for pulling of all sorts every year. It's the first weekend of December every year. Like I said, I think this is the 20th or 21st year. It traditionally, for many years, it was the largest antique pull in the country, and had the most hooks of any pull in the country. Most of the times, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300 hooks in a weekend. Just obscene numbers. I mean, if you think about versus a PPL pull or an NTPA pull,
right?
The only pull that would come close would be like a Bowling Green or say a Hillsboro, Wheeling kind of place where you get hundreds of hooks in a night.
Mhm.
Well, we get 100 hooks and we're a third of the way done, or maybe a fifth of the way done in a day.
Sure.
And that's twin tracks. They're 10, 12-hour days often. And Tunica's like that. This past year had 1,503 hooks. 400 tractors registered. Typically, there's 25 to 30 states represented at Tunica. Usually two or three Canadian provinces there. So it draws in folks from all over the country.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good that type of pulling has a good based event like that to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's not to say there's some other awesome pulling going on. All the NATPA hooks are good. The National Antique Tractor Puller Association that I work closely with, they have some outstanding events. There's some other events like the Harrisburg Pull that Brad Peters puts on is excellent. The Oklahoma Winter Nationals in Anola, Oklahoma is excellent. The White Pine, Tennessee event, I'm going to forget some. They might get mad at me, but I apologize. But that Tunica pull pretty much set the precedent. They set the bar for everybody to reach. And Tunica still it's the old man. It's the herd bull, so to speak. You go there to pull, compete, and you go to visit, and you get to see friends there once a year. You may not see them any other time, either other than on Facebook or through a text. But you get to visit face to face, person to person, alongside a track or maybe at the casino afterwards. And it has its own unique vibe and feel there. We were concerned as a group. There have been whispers, and those got kind of quiet down here recently, that this might have been the last year because the facility, Paul Battle Arena in Tunica, had some issues with management, leadership, and there's been a new group take over, and they want us back. They want the Mean Green Pulling Team back.
Good. For
2021. So that's good news, and hopefully we'll have whatever protocols, everything kind of clear up. Hopefully about April, May, first, middle of the year, where things can be kind of back to normal. And, I perceive that the pool will be bigger than ever in 2021. So
that's good. Yeah, like I say, I know there was a lot of buzz, and I'm sure several people from here. In fact, Brad Peters, I just saw him Saturday. He was pulling, and
he's been a regular down there, and several folks. Olin Simpkins, I'm sure you've met Olin.
Oh yeah, yep.
He's a top-notch puller. Does an outstanding job down there. It's one of those guys that's top to heap, and there's representing a wealth of good pulling. There are some absolutely outstanding pullers, on the East Coast with Delmarva and across the country. It's amazing to see these guys in action. Don't get me wrong, I love watching a pro stock go down the track at 35 miles an hour, and the smoke and the fury and the noise and that whole bit. I love it, but watching these guys read a track and not have physics in their favor, running 6-8 miles an hour. You don't have speed in your favor. You've got to have strategy.
That's the one thing that I've learned the last two events is watching these guys. Obviously you don't want that horn blowing in your ears behind you. It's amazing. How good a driver most of them are.
There's some of the best drivers I know are driving in those ranks, and there are some outstanding people at the wheel at the national level. Outstanding.
Yep.
That's not taking anything away from anybody, but there's a guy that plays in a barn in central Indiana that I'll put up with anybody in the world. You give him about 3 or 4 laps on a bigger tractor, and people be scratching their heads. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, there's a few of them like that out there. That's for sure. Yeah.
But no, it's like I said, Tunica is just this gathering of some of the best competitors and friends, and they leave it on the track, and it's fun to see, and it's fun to see them. To have seen them over the past few years, going back to the St Jude deal, to see their response and their willingness to give.
Yeah.
And knowing that their money and whatever they might be donating is going to benefit a good cause, an absolutely good cause. And we've had finally got some support from St Jude. Some personnel finally showed up and it's like, we've put $300,000 in the coffers of St Jude over the last 7 years.
Wow.
And unfortunately, the pool has been on top of their biggest one-day event where they have a marathon in Memphis, and it raised $2 million in a day. And we're dropping the bucket. We run the hospital for 30 minutes. That's how much that $300,000 pays for about 30 minutes a day.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And and they've come around, and I'm thankful to see that they see what we're trying to do, and we're serious about finding some cures for childhood cancer and the other things going on. They've even done some research that they found some medicines that are part of the Crohn's and colitis and some other inflammatory diseases. Those work against COVID. And they've done some research to that effect. So there's some therapeutic things that they have found along the way beyond the childhood cancer research. And I'm glad that we've been a little part of that. So
yeah, absolutely. Any little part is something. I mean,
and I've kept telling myself, it's my hope that like there's that $1 that we send in that finds a cure for a disease, or what we send in helps a family to feel, to give them some comfort, give them some aid while their child's in the hospital, or to relieve pain. You can't, there's nothing worse than seeing a kid in pain. There's absolutely nothing worse in the world. And, because we can talk about people that smoke and get lung cancer. These kids, they were born with some genetic thing usually, or has some exposure to something, and they have no, it's just they just are supposed to have fun and grow up and learn, but they're in a hospital, and it's sad, but we want to see the end of that.
Absolutely. And what really should send people in, give people ambition is the way that they approach you. Like, you see the commercials and everything, but in reality, a lot of them have high hopes, and generate a positive vibe. They're not sick. They're not sick. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They always stay high in thought and hope for the best.
Yeah, and it's our way of giving, or trying to give hope. We're trying to go that extra mile beyond what we normally would do. We could come down there every year and just have fun and pull, but it's created an enthusiasm at the event at Tunica and other events. It's spawned other pulls to have St. Jude classes or raise money and send in their own funds. Yeah. It's it's grown, and it's I'm honored and blessed to be a part of it. What little I do, I feel like I'm just trying to do my very best. It's kind of like a calling, I guess.
Working with the tractor, the giveaway tractor, the money from that, I'm sure it's a major percentage, goes to St. Jude, and
yes.
Then just your your web abilities to talk about it, to get the word out there. You sent me a banner today. I'm going to share the heck out of that. It's going to go, probably on my website, wherever, all my pages and stuff. And
okay, great.
And make hopefully every year you can just climb the ladder more and more.
Yeah,
I mean, that's everybody's goal. But
yes,
that's fantastic. You say $100 and some $1,000 you said last year, or?
Yes. Well, that last year was special, in the sense that it was our 5th year of doing it, and we had a turnkey farm-all that Robert Needhammer from Michigan donated. National champion tractor, big cubic inch, 537, something like that. Big cubic inch, big compression. When he campaigned the tractor through up until Tunica, and had won some classes at national events, and we always in the points race. It was a national champion tractor in 2018, 2019. So, and then in 2019, 2020, it had started in on that same path. Just phenomenal tractor. The other tractor was from the ground up. Ken and Pat Bollinger donated a Unstyle G for that project. Jim Motzenbacher from over in South Central Illinois, him and his nephew Chet Esker, along with a bunch of folks, and forgive me, folks, I can't remember all y'all off the top of my head, but Jim was the filter or the funnel to where all this went to. And Jim and Chad, along with a bunch of others, put that tractor together, and it was from the ground up, and it was 2 amazing tractors. Raised a ton of money. The tractors alone raised $141,000, but there's like I said, other stuff goes on at Tunica beyond the tractors to raise money for St. Jude, like the St. Jude class, competition class, where pullers, they'll just hand over their winnings right back and said, "Here, put it in the pot for the kids." So, and that's a big chunk too. We've got some folks that nearly 5 figures.
Wow.
Singular donors that will donate. And they're not looking for the glory. They're not looking for a pat on the back. They're just, like, I'm doing this for the kids.
Yeah, I'm doing a good deed. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little bit myself uncomfortable being kind of the face of it all. I'm not the prettiest face. I'm not the smartest face, but it's if I have to put my face out there to help promote this project, that's what I do. And I'm proud to be part of it.
Absolutely. I definitely would be too. And I'm sure you do a well of a job getting the word out there.
Yeah.
I see it. So
And to go back to discuss the tractors further, the tractor from the year prior, from 18, it's been some time in your neck of the woods with Olin and David Jones and some other folks, and they raised a tremendous amount of money on that tractor. That we had that year raised $91,000.
Awesome.
So it was amazing what they were able to do, along with a lot of other folks. We had big donors, donations from out east and Ohio and Wisconsin. There's the group from Wisconsin, actually, that 18 tractor and another M. They took it completely apart, left Tunica with it in 17, and by Gordyville had taken it apart, disassembled it, put it back together, and gotten it right. To make sure it was good, good solid tractor. And they raised a ton of money themselves. That Wisconsin group did, led by Eric Olin. So
there's a lot of good-hearted people in the sport.
Yes.
Any sport, but this sport never ceases to amaze me. And we've seen that a lot with our misfortune in March.
Yep.
I would say almost 98% of all the pullers donated money back to us.
It was only a handful. Yeah.
We're fighting. We're fighting like heck. I don't know for sure. I doubt we'll be at Harrisburg for 2021. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak out of the box yet, but we're trying. We're trying to make something happen. But it's amazing, and not only the competitors but the sponsors. I mean, they didn't have to do anything, but they understood.
What I see is some of these folks they come up to you, they see what you're doing, and they have this look in their eye. Mm-hmm. It's like, they're like, just tell me what to do, right. Or here's what I can do for you. Can we do this? Tell me how I can help. And it's that light that they have, knowing what the end product is something for the kids. And the tractor is just a vessel. It's just a thing of, to rally around, that ties us all together from all over the country, all different kinds of attitudes and personalities. And it's the one thing that we can agree on, regardless of anything. It's that to help these kids. So.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's even if you will, some of the stubbornest, meanest people in the world have a heart for kids. And it doesn't go unappreciated, believe me.
We don't have any of those folks in pulling, though. We don't have anybody like that. No, not at all. No. Not at all.
No, we really do have some great people in the sport.
Yes. I'm kidding. I mean,
I know that.
It does take all kinds, but for the most part, you see that pullers, at their core, are very, very supportive, and especially at projects like this.
Yeah, that's great, Brian. That's I didn't realize how heavily you were involved here until like the last probably year and a half, and I'm like, man, he's really involved with these giveaway tractors, and and the more you read into it, and especially now, I'm learning so much more tonight, and that's why we have you here.
Yeah. Well, I see that. I think it's part of putting a face with the project, or faces. And there's multiple faces here. Like I said, Pete Pesnick and Jeff Gravert and Houston and Stacy Jackson are part of the crew too. of the nonprofit group that we've put together, the kind of, because it has become a business. And one of the reasons why I kind of, the Huggins Group, love them. They're an awesome group of guys. They do anything for you and for this group, but and for the projects, and they have every tractor along the way. And again, I would forget somebody, and I couldn't forget myself. But that group of guys from all over the Midwest, they're kind of rowdy, but they're good folks, and love them. Seriously, I love them. It's become a business, and when they're at Tunica or out at pulling, they're there. It's their hobby. They're there for fun, and I'm there for fun, but I'm also there as a businessman.
Right. And
I'm like, well, let me fold this into my business as part of here. I'll chip in. I'll do my thing, and just help me along the way. Where you can, and just grateful for that original group that helped to do it. So.
That's awesome, man. There's so much you can talk about.
Yeah. You said we had an hour, but now we're at 42 minutes. I'm like,
that's okay. We got time. That's no problem. My goodness, yeah. I'd rather talk about this than what kind of pulling year we've all had. So,
well, but that's the funny thing though. It's like I went to a pull in Russellville, Kentucky, on March 13th. At the very beginning of all this, and when things started to act like we were going to shut down, and I'm like, this we don't know. I don't know. I'm here because I need content, and and then things kind of crept open a little bit, starting in May, just real limited, and then by mid-June, I was 3 pulls a weekend through August. I made a business decision. I'm going to be on the road, and I'm going to get content. I'm going to gather stuff so I can produce magazines, through this time, from this time on, like in case we get shut down again. I don't know for sure, what's going to happen in the spring or in the wintertime. I do know, speaking to a promoter from over Missouri, we've got a couple antique pulls that are going to happen in January because they've not shut down those facilities, and they're state-run facilities for antiques. So there's 2 big pulls coming up. First one's on New Year's Day and on the 1st and 2nd, and then there's one the first weekend of February over there at 2 different facilities, and hopefully this vaccine will come along and we'll have something.
I actually got wind potentially of an antique pool January 1st here, so I will be there. If it happens, I will be there.
Well, please. I might need some help there, old buddy, old friend.
I'm going to work. I'm so far behind right now, but I'm catching up, and I know the magazine work is right here. It's in my brain. I know we're gonna.
It's. I'm not going to show you my desk right now. This. What you see is the cleanest part of the office right now. I made sure to straighten some things up so you all could.
Brian, I'll guarantee you, it is nowhere near what this one looks like. I promise you, it is a wreck in here, man.
You want to bet? Do you really want to go down that rabbit hole?
You probably have more paperwork laying around, but.
Yeah. Well, I'll have stacks of tickets. I have stacks of raffle tickets that has some people's name on it. People need to follow that crawler and log into that page there, tunicaraffletracker.blogspot.com.
See, Mike Walker just vouched for me. True story. He's been in this office a time or two.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah. My wife, bless her heart, she just walks through. My office is in the basement of the house. And she comes downstairs and she just kind of, okay, and walks on.
Yep, that's about right.
Just kind of gives me and walks on. But that's okay.
But you're getting stuff done. So.
Oh yeah. I know where everything's at.
That's right. That's right. My problem is when I do straighten up and clean up, I'm in trouble because I got to spend another hour looking for everything.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, the Raffle tractor for this year. Tell us a little bit about that, Brian.
Yeah, it's 77 Oliver. We got it purchased earlier in the year. It's been a nationally campaigned tractor. Last year it was nationally campaigned. And there's a picture there on the screen. Before it went to paint, it's had some improvements since we got it. Let me get that. I've got that list of people that have done work on it, so we'll give them some love here. And donations for this tractor have come from all over the country. It's come from as far east as North Carolina, New York, Oklahoma, Nebraska. A lot of guys like that. Guys like Matt Parker, Steve Tim, Dylan McGee. When Pete Pesnick and Jeff Graber have done a lot with the tractor too. That's the thing about we get involved in these tractors too personally. The core group does, and we chip away at these things as well. Kelly Baldwin from New York, Jay Pillmeyer, Mike Rooker, both those guys from Oklahoma. Bruce Doctor Pro Puller Tires donated some tires, some front tires. Warren Townsend from Michigan, Radiator, Tad Warm, Carl West Jr. A bunch of pullers got together, donated some weights, and that's a big thing. They're custom cut weights, and they've got the St Jude logo plasma cut out of them, and they're really slick for the front of the tractor. Terry Ernderly, Chris Klein, Alison Barber, Jason Steele, Jacob McMullen, and Brian Brumback did that. Other guys like Junior Coe, national class Oliver Puller, he donated some money for paint. Tim Madden, Garrett and Todd Davidson from Osceola Input. I've lost my tongue. From Osceola Implement donated some stuff. Arlo Motors, some paint supplies, and Scott Monell, some paint supplies. So it's going to look good when we get it back together. It's at Jeff Graver's in Nebraska right now, getting final touches of paint. It should be impressive when it gets done, because we try to make sure these tractors are not only look good, they hook good, and that they whoever gets them gets a lot of fun out of them. And we've been lucky to see, as a group, to see these tractors that we donated or had raffled off prior, see most of them out regularly into competition.
I was going to ask you how often you see the previous giveaway tractors in competition.
There's only one that I haven't seen much of it. It was the second year. It was a co-op E5. It's in Wisconsin, and it stays pretty local. The rest of the tractors, first year was an Oliver 88. It lives in Southern Illinois right now. I see it pretty often. The third year tractor is a Moline UB. It's in Missouri. The fourth year tractor that raised $95,000, that Black M, it changed hands a couple times, and it's in Ohio now. And it's a gentleman bought it for his grandkids to learn to pull with, and it's a good tractor, really good tractor. The last year's M ended up in Pennsylvania with the Bill Hughes. The gentleman that got the unstyled G from last year, Jim Mossenbacher, got attached to the tractor, and he traded it. There was a trade made there, and Jim still has the tractor now, but they swapped out, and And Jim's been campaigning that tractor, after he built it, and there was, he's like, it's got to come back home. It was kind of the sense. And Jim seriously, Jim put a lot of love and time in that thing. And Jim, bless his heart, he had a son pass away several years ago, and he had often mentioned, because he had lost a child, it was kind of in his heart to do this. He had a real fervor to do this tractor and to do it as good as it was, and it is. And he kind of dedicated that tractor to his son's memory, and wow. And you saw it. I mean, it's an outstanding John Deere G. It's still probably the most efficient tractor of its size in the country. It's 600 and some cubic inches, and it runs with 1,000 cubic inch John Deeres.
Wow.
Yeah, it runs with the 8x10 John Deeres. It's an outstanding piece. There's with these 2-cylinder Deeres, you've got a lot of billet in them to make them right. Billet crank and billet supports and rods. The whole, I mean, it's amazing. You think about, there's this misnomer about antiques being a step behind, or the technology being not what some other classes are. And I just want to say, well, let's look inside the crankcase and see what you think about that. You go spending $7,000-8,000 on a billet crank for a 10-inch crank. It's and it's because it's what people want to do. They love their John Deeres, and more power to them. That's what they want to do to compete. So.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty impressive. The one that stood out in my mind is a tractor called the Gambler, Grayson English, out of Miller's Tavern, Virginia, Tappahannock, Virginia area. Yeah, had a 2-cylinder John Deere. Really, I mean, it was the best of everything that I'm aware of. Wheels, paint, it was just a beautiful tractor. And I'm sure you probably have seen it.
Yeah. But, well, there's it's really amazing. That group of pullers, that 2-cylinder group of pullers, the John Deere guys, from when I first really got heavily involved with the hook back in 2010, 2009, where they were that, you thought about that group being 3 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour. It's about all they would do. Mm-hmm. Couldn't run with Olivers, or, unless they were low gear kind of deal. There's a group of guys and pullers, that really have taken that tractor, the A's and the G's and some B's as well, of those series, and have been done phenomenal work, just amazing. To bring them to what they are today, they're 8-10 mile an hour tractors now. They're big. They're not necessarily big horsepower, but they're big torque tractors, and spin the tires hard and compete with tractors that turn more RPM just by virtue of their design. They're fun to watch. It's just amazing to see how they've transformed that group of tractors.
Yeah, that's like, speaking of Grayson's, I remember a couple times I got to see it. He'd be idling around the pits or driving around the pits. It was like a shotgun every time each cylinder hit. It wasn't just a pop. It was, that thing was popping and cracking every time a cylinder hit. I'm like, holy crap, man, that thing would just lay down and go, man. Amazing.
Yeah. There's a well, it's not a barn, but there's an arena over in Lebanon, Missouri, that we go to in January. We'll be going to in January on the first weekend of the month. And every time a John Deere G would go down the track, or an A, the big ones, mm-hmm. It was like Louisville. Instead of ceiling tiles coming out and falling on the track, there was paint chips off the rafters. Those flying down. We'd like, it's snowing in here, and no, one of those guys like Brian Rammel or Jim Matzenbacher would come down the track, and it just booming and banging and just popping, and and just little pieces of paint come twirling down.
Yeah.
It was crazy that they would create that much compression or to do that kind of action. So
it's a sound you'll never forget to hear when it's built. When it comes by, it's like, holy crap, man, that thing's serious, man.
Yeah. What's fun is to see, like, if you've got two of them, you've got two twin tracks, and then like two of them just happen to hook at the same time, and go down, and the flagman throw the green at the same time sometimes, and it's you've got that in stereo.
Oh yeah.
And that split second, that like 1 or 2 seconds they might get in sync, and it's a symphony. It's a beautiful sound.
Yeah. What's I'm not trying to rush you on. We are 56 minutes, but we take all the time you want, Brian. That's no problem. Kendra, are you okay?
I'm good.
You haven't said much.
The antique world is not my world, but it's okay.
Well, and that that's fine. I kind of straddle the whole sport with what I do. From a 3-mile guy to a guy that's on a 4-engine mod. I see the beauty in it all. And I feel like there's room for everybody. And we need to be welcoming to everybody to be able to stretch your legs in whatever way and
they're a part of the pulling world just like everybody else.
Yes, absolutely. And
they take pride in what they do and what they have.
Yeah,
that is one thing I've noticed the last 2 events.
Yeah,
and it's not a I'm greater than thou vibe either. It's they take pride in what they have, whether it's painted, whether it's rusty. They get every inch they can out of their vehicles, and they're happy. Usually, unless they had the dreaded horn blown at them. But but that's part of the sport too.
And they're dedicated. They're so dedicated.
Yeah.
So
well, you a lot of there's a group of pullers out of South Dakota. I mentioned one of them, Brian Rammel, has had just a huge G that made huge noise. He's since sold that tractor, but him and his family, they're about at least 9 hours to the first big national pull that they can get to.
Wow.
They're 9 to 12 hours to anywhere to pull.
See, that's dedication. I wouldn't do that.
And I'll wrap my part up here. But I don't know if I told you, Jerry, but I was going to do a pull back in October, and there was it was a NATPA pull. Going to do that group plus some bracket pulling, which has gotten popular too. It's another day for another story. But I had folks coming from New York and South Dakota. It's a good 13-hour drive for some of those guys to where I was going to have the pull at, and they didn't blink an eye. They wanted to come until the county judge executive said we need to do it some other time. So
well, Tunica is a prime example. I haven't guessed the mileage. I know how long it took me to get to Murfreesboro, Tennessee from here. So to get to Tunica, how much further beyond would you say from Murfreesboro to get to Tunica?
You're 4.5. Because you go to Memphis and you go south. Nashville's about, I think, 3.5 to Memphis, and then you go a half hour south, 45 minutes south.
Okay. So that's I'm looking at probably right around 16 to 18 hours to get to Tunica.
Yeah,
believe it or not. I can get to Toma, Wisconsin in 19. So that kind of gives you an idea. But that and like I said, I know there's guys coming from here. I'm sure north of here too. That just gives you an idea how far they drive.
Yeah. Well, I'm 12 hours flat to Harrisburg. I've done Harrisburg in 12 hours. Yep. And that's moving.
I'm about an hour and 10 minutes south of Harrisburg.
So you can, and then I'm another 4.5 hours, to Tunica from here, 5 hours. So,
okay.
But
well,
thank you all, Kendra. Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Well, we're not done with you yet. You ain't going to. Okay. I don't care about we're at an hour. That's okay. But it's just 2020, did we cover? I'm sorry, 2021 tractor. You had some ideas for that. You said you'd wanted to mention.
Yeah, well, we're just, we've actually got 2 tractors coming. We've got one for 2021 already in the works. It's a Farmall 460. We try not to say a whole lot about the tractors before we get one out the door. We try to focus on one tractor at a time, even though we now have a tractor for 2022 that's in the works.
That's great.
And we try to, we're trying to go cycle through the brands as we can, and what, and it's not a, it's I hate to say it, but it's kind of a popularity contest. Certain brands will sell more tickets than other brands. And last year was the perfect storm where we had a Farmall and a John Deere, and we tuned that battle up just right to where people bought tickets, to defend their brand.
Yep.
And it ultimately for the good of St Jude.
Absolutely, that's the important thing.
Yeah, and we've already got donations coming in for that tractor, for that 2021 tractor. And I'll talk. We'll come back if you want me to come back sometime next year early. We'll talk about that tractor.
Absolutely, we'll definitely have you back. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to talk about the magazines or anything, but
folks, they're coming. I'm behind. Yes, I know, but they're coming. I'm here, and I've got an InDesign open right now to work on one. So that's my weapon of choice to get magazines done and to kill trees.
It's been that kind of year.
Yeah,
you would think all of us would be a step ahead of everything, but the problem is, you're 100% correct. You had to run so much to get anything outside of the ordinary, if you will, closer to home. Same thing here. I probably traveled an additional hour to 2 hours every weekend, just to get to a pool. But,
I did. I used Mile IQ to track my mileage for tax purposes, and I did 6,200 miles one month.
Oh yeah, it ain't hard to do. You can do out your way, especially. Yeah, definitely.
It's 12, 13 hour drive to Council Bluffs, Iowa, and then pick up 2 more pools coming back from that. On the way home, which is cool. I mean, it's fun to see all this different pulling going on. It's kind of like with the way the government's been, or the states have been, kind of the way they've treated travel. They kind of feel like you're breaking the law kind of deal. Running all over the world and showing up in the middle of the night in Wisconsin at a pool in Seymour, Wisconsin for about 150 farm stock tractors, which was cool, and a bunch of people in the stands, and then spend the next night in another pool in Wisconsin, and then head home and recuperate. You're getting old like me, you have to spend a day to recuperate, and then you're like, oh, I got to figure out where I got to go for next weekend to make sure.
You're not old, Brian. You haven't hit 50 yet, have you?
I'm 47, and 47 feels a lot like 74 some days. So
I'm okay. I'm 7 years ahead of you, so
yeah.
But you're right. It does take an extra few hours to get rested up.
I mean, it used to I could stand on the track at 8-9 hours at a time. I used to do that, and I'm like, now it's like after about an hour and a half, I'm like, I gotta find somewhere to sit down.
Yeah,
this not any good. But
if you're not videoing, that's possible unless you got a stool with you.
Yeah. No, I understand.
But I do have a question here from Southwest Florida. Motorsports fan wants to know what bluegrass music group is that on your shirt?
This is the Cleverleys. Look them up, cleverleys.com.
Okay. He said he said his nephew is a bluegrass picker in Central Kentucky. Okay.
This outfit, I just happened to throw it on today. It's a long story, but we've kind of been following for my wife and I've been following, and she's tagged along with me to follow these guys for the last 5 or 6 years. They're outstanding musicians. They're actually based out of the Ozarks over in northwest Oklahoma, Arkansas. They do a lot of cover music. Like they cover a lot of pop stuff, and it's a hoot. It is a hoot, and then they'll do some straight up bluegrass music, and they're fantastic musicians. So
Yeah, Ozarks. There's a lot of Bigfoot activity over in the Ozarks.
yeah, that's what I hear. All I know is there's a long 4-lane road that runs from one end of the state to the other, and all I see are deer on it. So on that 4-lane road, usually just grazing. They're not running out in front of me. So that's a good thing.
That's right. That's definitely a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know definitely, Brian. I gotta get my stuff together here and get you some stuff going. And magazines are coming, like Brian said. It was just one of them summers that.
Yeah, and I could. There's multiple stories of things that happened. We could spend another hour talking about some of the stuff that I saw happen. That was, that it's going to make it a magazine. That it's there's the element of competition. There's a human element of what I saw. I mean, there was a guy I saw pull, a young guy in Freeport, Illinois, basically just get out of the hospital from cancer treatment. And he went to the pool and pulled his John Deere in farm stock class. While the rest of us are just grumbling and fighting and worrying about our little problems, he was in chemotherapy or radiation treatment, or maybe can't remember his full story for sure off the top of my head, but it's like, well, I'm going to go pull, and his story will be told. That kind of dedication to want to be out there, and he got a standing ovation from the crowd. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Something, Kendra, I can't remember if it happened this year or last year. Something very similar to that happened.
Don Masterson at Louisville.
Yeah, there was somebody here local. I want to say it was up in the Snyder County area. It might have been somewhere else. Just got out of whatever it was from the hospital and climbed in a puller, and I can't remember what it was, who it was. Doggone it! But yeah, you're right, Brian. We all
was like
grumbled.
3 years ago now, I think.
Might have been. I remember something happening, and
I'll think of it right after the show ends.
Yeah. We stumble and half twist our ankle or something and bicker and bitch the whole night, and then here's somebody, fight for their life, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it did. I mean, if you hadn't heard or didn't know his backstory, you wouldn't have known. I mean, he had a good pull, and the night before they raised some money. Excuse me, it's not Corona. I swear it's not. They raised some money for him. The community antique tractor pullers from that group up in southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, raised some money for their fellow puller, and then he got to come pull the next day. And like I said, it was just an electric feeling to see him go down the track with all these, couple thousand people in the stands, cheering him on. It was, those, I was glad to be there to record that, to see that, and to, and like, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm put here to do, is to, put it in print and discuss it here. And I shared it on Facebook too, that same day. But with Facebook, things just fly by. Like if we all haven't noticed, it's like it's on there today and it's gone tomorrow. And
yeah.
And it's why I believe print's not dead. Is because you can pick it up in a magazine and relive it again, and without having to take 2 hours to find it on Facebook on a post.
Absolutely, yeah.
2 years ago.
It's always nice to sit in your easy chair, reach over and grab the Listen to me, the Pro Puller, and or the hook, and
yeah.
And I've got them. If I could take you out there and show you, I got them. I got a magazine rack beside where I sit. And
well,
it's full of Pro Pullers. So
good deal. Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
So, well, Brian, man, it's an absolute treasure to have you on here. We definitely want to get you back on here sometime.
Mhm.
And
Well,
been-
I hope we can talk about some good news about pulling after first of the year. More good news, more stuff going on.
yeah,
I'm always glad to see you, Jerry. Thank you for your help along the way with all my cahoots and things that I get into, and your friendship is a treasure, man. So
I appreciate it. Same here. Like I say, it goes back a long ways. First time I met you face to face, I knew you beforehand, but would have been probably the first year in Murfreesboro, I guess. It's the first time we met
yeah,
face to face.
yeah, that was 06.
It's a while back. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a year after Gordyville started in 05.
yeah, it's 06. Yeah,
Yeah, that's those years I was hitting them all. I didn't miss any indoor pools, but
yeah.
Mhm.
it's tough to get away for a week now with aging parents, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we definitely want to get you to come back on. And
Great.
but I think all in all, we were lucky. I'd say we were fortunate to get the events that we did have. I wouldn't say it was, it wasn't as good as it probably normally could have been, but I was very fortunate to get away and get to everyone I could get to. So, and we still had a
Yes.
pretty good year, all in all.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
And you got to see so many different vehicle or like different
Oh.
pullers and stuff like that.
yeah, it was so nice. I seen
Mhm.
old interstate truck and tractor puller friends again, and met some new faces in Snyder County, and last two events with Delmarva tractor pullers.
Yeah.
What a great group of
Mhm.
people, man. Very appreciative, and I can't wait to go back down. They're great people to work with.
Yep.
So absolutely. But folks, we're just it's an hour and 12 into this, so we're going to go ahead and pull the plug. I'm for one am ecstatic because
Mhm.
this program worked tonight. Okay, this was all put together in about an hour and a half from scratch.
Well,
So the
Yep.
program worked, and I'm tickled, and I can just work from there now. I'm just fancied up a little bit. So,
well, that's why we call you the guru.
and I call he calls me the guru, and I said, yeah, well, you're the magaroo because you publish 2 magazines and stuff. So that's kind of like a nickname we pass back and forth. But we appreciate everybody tuning in. If we didn't catch your questions, it wasn't too busy there tonight. But we'll please like us, share, give us thumbs up, and be sure to check out. I've had a scroller running on the screen there just below Brian for the giveaway tractor. And when will you be giving that away, Brian? Exactly.
Be noon on December 5th.
Noon, December 5th. Okay.
Do not have to be present to win. We usually, if it goes to somebody that we don't know for sure, you've got so many people coming from all different parts of the country. They usually have room for one more on their trailer. That's been the beauty of this deal.
Right.
We can catch a tractor can catch a ride, somewhere, somehow, somewhere, and get to whoever wins it. So
Very good. And you want to go to tunicaraffletractor.blogspot.com. Get your tickets. It's for an absolute awesome cause. Brian and those guys worked their tail off to make this thing happen.
yeah, it is a group effort, a true group effort, and glad to be part of this team.
Absolutely. And we want to get as many tickets sold as we can. I'm going to start, like I say, I'll share the poster and stuff around on my stuff. And we thank everybody for tuning in. And we'll be back here next Wednesday. I think we're going to probably have Clayton Swinney. I won't say 100% for sure, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be the next one to come in. So
You want to talk about a roasting session?
Oh, we're going to have a ball with him. We're going to have. He's one of a kind, believe me. But thankfully, I should say. I'm just kidding. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. Check out Hook Magazine, Pro Pulling Magazine, the Tunica tractor raffle stuff at Bryan Lively. Rick's his tail off getting his stuff ready, and check out our Facebook page, Eastern Extreme Pulling videos and photos, and Brian's all over Facebook. And we'll have links and stuff to get you over there to get your tickets. Buy them up, man. Let's make this thing happen for these guys. And we appreciate you tuning in. And you guys just want to hang around a couple minutes, and I'll be right back with you. I'm going to go ahead and end this thing. Hopefully this part of it works. After all of this, hopefully this works for us as well. So
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thanks.